You know that moment. You take a bad step off a curb, maybe twist your knee playing a sport, and boom, you immediately know the drill. But what happens when the injury isn't something you can see? What if it's something internal, something you can't just point to? Well, today we're diving into the recovery protocol for that. Look, if you twist an ankle, your brain instantly goes to the RICE protocol, right? Rest, ice, compression, elevation. It's the first aid playbook we've all learned. But what about an injured gut? What's the plan for that slow creeping damage that comes from our modern world? It turns out there's a protocol for that too. And this is really the core idea we're talking about today. We need two totally different playbooks. RICE, that's the sprint. It's your immediate, all-out response to a sudden injury. But RISE, that's the marathon. It's a long-term strategy, a commitment to rebuilding your internal health from the ground up. So first things first, let's absolutely master the sprint. Now, you might think you already know RICE, but a quick refresher is so key. Because honestly, getting this right in the first 24 to 48 hours makes a world of difference. The secret to RICE is all in the details. Rest doesn't just mean take it easy. It means you stop completely for 24 to 48 hours. You've got to give your body a chance. And ice isn't something you just leave on. It's a cycle. Think 15 to 20 minutes on, then take a break for 2 or 3 hours. For compression, you want it snug for sure, but not so tight you're cutting off circulation. And elevation? Simple. Just get that injury propped up above the level of your heart and let gravity help your abs. So why on earth does ice even work? Well, it all comes down to a cool biological trick called vasoconstriction. The cold literally makes your blood vessels narrow. This is huge because it limits internal bleeding and all that fluid that rushes to the area. Less fluid means less swelling, and you know what less swelling means? Way less pain. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful hack. Okay, but we have to be super clear here. RICE is for you to manage minor to moderate injuries on your own. You absolutely need to know the red flags. If you heard a loud pop or a snap, if the limb just looks wrong, if you physically can't put any weight on it, or if you start to feel numbness or severe uncontrolled pain, this is not a job for an ice pack anymore. It's time to see a doctor immediately. All right, so we've covered the dings and dents to the body's frame, right? The sprains and strains. But now let's talk about the engine. Or maybe a better way to put it is the battery. This quote just perfectly pivots our thinking. RICE fixes the dents, for sure. But what do you do when the very thing providing the energy, your gut microbiome, starts to get corroded? Because that internal corrosion, it's happening. There's an unseen saboteur in our modern environment, a chemical that is systematically taking apart our internal ecosystem, and most of the time, we don't even realize it's going on. So here's how this saboteur works. The key is something called the shikimate pathway. Now, the main selling point of the herbicide glyphosate was that human cells don't have this pathway, so it's safe for us. And that's true. But, and this is a huge but, our gut microbes completely depend on this pathway to survive. It's like a poison that only destroys the roads in a city. The buildings are fine, but without roads, the whole city starves. And the scale of this vulnerability is, honestly, it's staggering. 54%. Over half of our core essential gut bacteria have this pathway. That means they are a direct target. So while we, the humans, might be okay on the surface, the very organisms we need for digestion, for our mood, for our immunity, they're being weakened day in and day out. And if that wasn't enough, it actually gets worse. The commercial formulas don't just have glyphosate. They have these co-formulants, these additives designed to help the herbicide blast through plant cell walls. Well, some research shows these additives can be up to 1,000 times more toxic than the glyphosate itself, and they directly attack our delicate gut lining. So, okay, that's the problem. It's an invisible, chronic injury to our internal world. So now, let's get to the solution. Just like we have RICE for a sprain, there's a structured plan for gut recovery, and it's called the RISE protocol. This is your blueprint. The RISE protocol is our marathon, remember? It's a 4-phase journey. First, you remove the bad stuff, the toxins and the foods causing inflammation. Then, you investigate. You use functional testing to figure out what's really going on in there. Third, you supplement to support and rebuild that gut lining. And finally, you adopt new ways to eat to excel, to maintain that hard-won health for the long haul. And here are some of the most powerful, self-directed strategies from that protocol. There's glycine saturation. See, glyphosate pretends to be the amino acid glycine. So if you take 3 to 5 grams of actual glycine, you can help crowd it out. Then there's the 3 ferment rule. Super simple. Just try to get 3 different fermented foods like kefir or sauerkraut in every day. Using postbiotics like butyrate gives your colon cells the direct fuel they need. And finally, a binder strategy helps trap those nasty toxins so your body can get them out safely.
The Eat and Excel phase is all about building a resilient gut for life. And the rules are actually pretty simple and fun. Try to hit over 30 different types of plants in a week. That sounds like a lot, but it's easier than you think, and it feeds a huge range of good microbes. Load up on those colorful polyphenols from things like berries, green tea, dark chocolate. Your good bacteria love that stuff. And here's a pro tip. Use the pairing rule. If you're eating something high in oxalates, like spinach, pair it with something high in calcium, like yogurt. They bind together in your gut, not in your kidneys.
Now, it is really important to manage your expectations here. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Remember? It's not an overnight fix. You might feel less bloated in just a few days, which is amazing. But then you might hit a little bump called a healing crisis, where you feel a bit tired as the bad bacteria die off. Believe it or not, that's a good sign. Real gut repair takes about a month, and that deep, sustained energy, that can take 3 to 4 months to really kick in. It's a process.
So there you have it, 2 different protocols for 2 very different kinds of injury. One is a sprint designed to put out an immediate fire. The other is a marathon designed to rebuild the entire city from the inside out. And the real insight here is that to be truly healthy, you have to be good at running both races.
And this table just sums it all up perfectly. Rice goes after your joints and muscles. Rise targets your gut and microbiome. Rice is acute first aid, the sprint. Rise is long-term systemic restoration, the marathon. With Rice, you just look and feel. With Rise, you might use functional lab testing. And the goals? Rice is all about reducing local pain and swelling right now. Rise is about restoring microbial diversity for your entire body's health for the long run. Ultimately, your body needs you to be ready for everything, the sudden crisis and the long-term campaign. So the question I want to leave you with is this: which race are you training for today? You know how to handle the sprint when you have to, but what about the marathon? Which race does your health really need you to be focused on right now?